Hello and welcome to another episode of the Asian Seller Podcast. I'm your host, Meghla Bhardwaj, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about selling on Amazon Europe. And I have with me Laura, who is an Amazon consultant, and she is also an ex-Amazonian. And hi, Laura, how are you doing?
Hello, very happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us over here, Laura. So, very interesting topic. We haven't covered this on our podcast previously. And so, what I want to do is basically talk a little bit about the various Amazon marketplaces that there are in Europe and what kind of advice you have for people who want to explore selling in Europe, and what are the pitfalls and what are some of the differences between the different marketplaces.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
cool. So before we get into that, Laura, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do and also what you did at Amazon previously?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Laura Buhl. I'm an e-commerce consultant, and I had startups and businesses launch their products in Europe. I used to work for Amazon directly, and I used to coach the top 100 sellers in Europe. So yeah, this is my background and this is what I love doing. And I'm very happy to be here and share some insights on how you could expand to Europe or start your Amazon journey in Europe.
Wow, that sounds pretty exciting. So Amazon, working with Amazon and actually helping Amazon, sellers, like coaching them. So when were you doing that, Laura? How long ago was that?
I was doing that 2017, 18, 19.
Okay,
Yeah.
very recently.
Yeah.
And you're currently based in Germany, right? And you were previously in Singapore as well.
I used to live in Singapore from 2011 to 2015. 5 beautiful years. I love it there.
Yeah, I love it here too.
Uh,
Cool. So tell us, Laura, I mean, there's so many different marketplaces in Europe. So what are the main marketplaces, first of all? And then can you also tell us what are some of the key differences between the various marketplaces that there are in terms of, like the FBA fees or maybe the ease of selling? Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're the 5 most known ones, which is the UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. We have now some new ones, which is Amazon Netherlands, and this year Amazon Sweden is being launched. So these are the marketplaces that do exist in Europe. The biggest ones are Germany being on number 1 and the UK being number 2. Those are the most lucrative marketplaces because they have the highest customer numbers and they have the highest orders and search volumes. So the US is of course the biggest in the world, and of course that's where it all started as well. Germany though is really, really big and often underestimated because people have the language barrier where they think, oh, I might just go to the UK, when really Germany might even be the better starting point. And the language, that can all be figured out. I mean, there are always ways to do that. So yeah, if people ask me, where should I get started in Europe, I say Germany.
Wow. I mean, even I would say, UK would be the first most logical marketplace for me to consider, simply because of the language. And it's just easy to bring over, all of my listings from US, let's say, to Germany, to the UK marketplace. Mm-hmm. So in terms of ease of selling, which do you think is, easiest to start selling on? Of course, Germany is maybe the biggest and, with the highest volume, but ease of selling?
If you put the language aside, actually Germany is still one of the easiest to start because it's not as competitive as the UK. Because of the language barrier and because in the UK you speak English, many will start with the UK. It's the most common place to start in Europe. Other countries are a place where people, if they don't speak other languages other than English, they sometimes feel like resistant to try that. So even though UK is lucrative, I would always still look at Germany because it's a less competitive market with a higher search volume. So you have both components, which are really good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then what should be the strategy be? Should we start with one marketplace and then just focus on one marketplace, or is it better to maybe sell on multiple marketplaces?
Both is possible. There are different ways of doing that, and there are a few things to look at. So if you're using the Amazon FBA program and you let Amazon fulfill your orders for you, you need to be looking at a few different things. So if you're starting in the UK, for example, and you have all your inventory in the UK warehouses, you will need a VAT number in the UK. This is something that you don't need in the US. In Europe, however, for most countries, for all selling countries, you will need a VAT number as long as you do have inventory in that country. So if you're wanting to start in a European country, it's always good to start with one, to not overcomplicate things with having to have the VAT numbers in all those different countries. So yes, you can start selecting the UK and have your inventory in the UK, but you can still sell in all other countries as well. You will just not have Prime, but you can still have an offer in other marketplaces. People can still buy your product, and the Amazon warehouse is going to ship it to either to France or to Spain, wherever your customer is, and they will ship it for you at a little bit higher cost, but it will make it easier for you to get started in one country and still being able to sell in all those countries as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So talking about FBA, there are different options available for FBA, right? So there's a European Fulfillment Network, for example, then there's multi-country inventory, management, and then Pan-European FBA. So can you explain to us what are the differences and pros and cons of each of these methods?
Okay, the most known one is the Pan-EU, which means that you sell all across Europe and you have inventory all across Europe. Not only in the marketplaces where you sell, but also in some countries where Amazon only has warehouses. So for example, Poland and Czech Republic are countries where Amazon doesn't have a marketplace where they actively sell, but they do have their warehouses where they do ship the products from to either orders that come out of Germany or from Austria or somewhere else. So if you do use Pan-EU, you will need to have VAT numbers for all of those countries. That can be quite a bit to do when you're just starting out. So if you're a beginner and you want to go into the European market, I do suggest do not go with Pan-EU yet. Try to either take the multi-country inventory, which means that you select multiple countries to have your inventory in. You will need the VAT numbers for those countries, or you go with just a single country and have Amazon fulfill the orders to the other countries for you. That has a benefit. You just need one VAT number until you reach a certain threshold. Like for example, if you're selling from the UK and you do have sales above 100,000 euro in Germany, you will then need a VAT number, but you will only need that once you have reached that level of sales volume. This is a good place to get started because you have much less hassle with all the accounting that needs to be done in different countries and reporting. And once you grow, you can always go and do the Pan-EU as well and have, I mean, everything can be outsourced. It's not like you need to do this all on your own. There are services that will help you to do all the reporting to all these different countries. But it is an extra cost that you need to calculate with. So having a Pan-EU account, when you look at accounting and all the other services that you would need to make sure that you have all that legal and tax sorted, you will need to calculate with at least $3,000 to $4,000 extra a year just to cover that. That's why start with one country.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so when we do European fulfillment network, then do we need to list our products in different marketplaces, or is it just listed on one marketplace and it can be purchased by people in any country? Is it like that, or do we have to list it on all of the different marketplaces?
Yes. You can, I mean, these are two different things. You can, if you only sell in UK, for example, you can turn on worldwide shipping. It means that
Okay.
no matter where in the world, people can order your product from the UK side. So they will go on amazon.co.uk and can buy it from there. If you want to be selling in all European countries, then you need to have active listings in all European countries. This can be done very, very easily because the Amazon seller account, where you set up all your inventory and things like that, always has all the other European countries in there as well. So you use the same interface for all European countries. You can even make it worldwide if you're selling worldwide at some point. And you just synchronize it, and you can have all your inventory being offered in all the different countries. So if someone goes to Amazon ES, which is Spain, they can find your product and buy it there and have it sent from the UK to them. Yeah. And they don't notice if it's coming from the UK or somewhere else. They can just buy it there. No.
Right. Yeah. So do we need to register separately on the different marketplaces? And is there, like a document check and everything that's required? Or is it just a matter of turning, the marketplace on? Because I know that, for example, if I'm selling on Amazon US and I want to register on Amazon Singapore, I need to go through the document verification process again. So is it the same in Europe as well? For example, if I'm selling on the UK marketplace, I've done all my, document verification. Now for Germany, do I have to register again and do all of the verification again? No.
No, you don't. That's a
Okay.
nice thing. The whole European is seen as one. So it's all
Oh,
together. If you sell in one, you automatically have everything else activated already. It's just that your product isn't activated in all countries automatically. You can then set that up as well. If you have a European account and want to then sell in the US, and you want to create a new selling account in the US, that is seen separately. So you would need to go through the verification again.
right.
But once you have gone through the verification, you can have your Seller Central all in one, and you will see then 9 marketplaces in your Seller Central. And you can, it's really good that they've done that. It used to not be like that way. You had to always change the accounts when you were going to your US listing, or then you go to your UK listing. Now they've done it nicely in just one Seller Central account. Yeah.
Right. So how do we go about things like translations and all of those things? So let's say I'm selling on the UK and I want to go to Germany or Italy or some of the other marketplaces. What are the steps involved, and what are the best practices in terms of managing translation specifically?
That's a very good question. So when you activate the listings for the different countries, it will have an auto translation done automatically for you. What we all know with Google Translate and things like that, it doesn't always sound make sense. So while you could sell like that, I do recommend do it professionally and get some help. You can either book it through Amazon themselves. They do have translation services or you can outsource it yourself. I mean, they're really simple resources like Fiverr, where you can have your product listing translated, and then you upload the translation into your account. Just one thing that you need to always consider is that you can update the text. That can be different in every marketplace, but the images are going to be all the same. So as soon as you do change an image in one market, in one country, it automatically changes in the other country. So there's some caution there, but the text, you can change that, and it makes sense to do that. So it sounds good to the buyer, and It
Right.
looks good.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then for images, I'm thinking, let's say I have some infographics with text on the infographics. And, for my UK listing, the text is in English. But
Mhm.
so are you saying that I can't really have, an infographic with German text for the German marketplace? It has to be the same set of images, is that correct?
Yeah, it is a bit of a tricky thing. It is the best to have it in English, and people in Europe, they don't mind really. I mean, in Germany, we're used to having the infographics in English most of the time. And there's where you can come in with your A plus content as well, because the A plus content can be customized to each country. And there you can have graphics done in the language of the marketplace. So then in the A plus content, when the person scrolls down and gets a bit more information, you can have further infographics then explaining it in German too,
Okay.
for example. Yeah. And usually the services on Fiverr that do offer translation, they can help you as well with translating A plus content too. Like I had really good experiences doing that with startups that have a tight budget and want to see how they can maximize their seller experience without spending thousands in translations. Yeah.
Right, makes sense. So let's talk about VAT. So you mentioned that we need to register for VAT in all of the different countries, right? So what's the process for somebody who's not who doesn't live in Europe? What's the process for registering of VAT, and do we need to incorporate a company in Europe as well, or can it be an offshore company with a VAT in Europe?
So you don't need to have a European company to be able to sell in Europe. You can have a Singaporean company, for example, a Malaysian company, really doesn't matter. You will still need a VAT number. So you get those VAT numbers from each respective country through the tax office. I'd recommend going with a service here because every country has a different way of applying for VAT, and doing it in like a DIY fashion can be a bit tricky. And before that is where I want to regress one moment. You don't need to have for all countries a VAT number as long as you don't store your inventory in all countries. That's something that new sellers sometimes make a mistake. They tick the Pan-EU setting in the Seller Central account because they think, yeah, I'm going to sell in all of Europe. But as soon as you do that, you are obliged to have VAT numbers in all those countries. So this is a pitfall that many go down under because they don't realize that they've made that setting, and now Amazon has spread their inventory all across Europe, and once it touches the ground somewhere else, a different warehouse, you are by law obliged to have a VAT. So don't tick that if you don't plan to do it. Just stay with one country, and then in the UK you could I would go through an accountant to get you a VAT number there.
Okay. And then, so at the end of the year, you've got to pay your VAT, or how do you pay the taxes? Is it like a monthly filing that you need to do separately through your accountant, or does Amazon manage that as well?
You need to take care of that, and every country is different here. So Germany, depending on the size of your company, it either is quarterly or monthly or half yearly. It can be they decided and case by case. In the UK, I think it's 10 times a year, but every country has their own requirements. So I would go here with an accountant that can help you with that. And they're like Amazon seller specific services as well that do offer the sort of service that they will do the filings for you. They will download the reports from your Seller Central account to the filing. So you don't need to worry about these things, because that's like a task by itself to figure out the VAT regulations in every country. So I don't recommend you to do that in a DIY thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about product categories. So if I'm starting out, what's the best way to decide what to sell? And are there any specific product categories that are more popular in certain marketplaces? I mean, especially the major ones, let's say Germany, UK. What categories should, Amazon sellers start with?
Mm-hmm. Of course, every country is culturally a little bit different, so there are like some preferences that people like to buy. Like in Germany, there's a lot of like outdoor hiking, camping. German people like to do this stuff, this type of things, skiing. So there's a lot of in sports that you can go into, but really you can go into many categories. There are just a few that you should avoid. Like you want to avoid everything that has to do with cars, with bicycles. It has to do anything with safety and liability, where you could be liable if someone has a bicycle accident because your bicycle light didn't work. You want to avoid electronics at all costs in Europe, especially in Germany, because there are so many regulations around it. And in Germany, if my electronic product that I bought on Amazon breaks one day before the 2 years have passed after I bought it, so I could have bought it now 2018, it broke now, and I can still return it. And
Wow,
that
two
can be
years.
yeah, and that's a lot of time. And that, especially with the defect rates that electronic products have these days, nothing that I would want to go into. So no matter in what European marketplace, categories that you would really, what are interesting to go into are things that can be either reused, so you have like some sort of recurring, like becoming customer, or simple tools that can be an add-on. Like I like to go a lot into DIY category these days because there are a lot of gems in there where you can, I mean, this year has been really, really good for, oh, what is the name of it? Not crochet, but like some sort of,
Macrame.
yeah, like there are like so many beautiful like sewing kits and like all sorts of DIY stuff where you don't have a product that is going to easily break. It's often light, it's often small, it has a good perceived value because it comes in a kit. So these are things that I do recommend. Like I have in my mind always the success formula. Like before we go into a marketplace, we want to see if there's a demand for this product. So we use tools like Helium 10, for example, to find out, okay, what are people searching for? And then the next point I'd like to go into is like, okay, how can I truly add value? I don't want to add the same product just with my logo on it. I want to bring a win-win situation into this market because this is how I'm going to long-term succeed. So by really focusing on how to add value, I find that my customers and like people that I work with do really, really well in their launches without having to do crazy giveaways, without having to like, I don't know, like give hundreds of their products away for free. They could just launch with simple PPC tactics. They can launch with people that actually want to buy the product because it's a great product. That's the way I like to go, and I think that's the long-term way of succeeding on Amazon, really being customer centric. Like Amazon is it as well. Try to be like Amazon as well. Think of your customer and what do they like, and let's solve problems here and bring awesome products to the market. Yeah.
Right. So how has COVID changed e-commerce habits in Europe? I mean, I think all over the world, people are buying more online and, e-commerce is really booming. What are you seeing in Europe, and in different marketplaces? Is it different? And tell us a little bit about, the big picture overall e-commerce trends.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been truly actually a winning year for Amazon and for e-commerce. Um, because so many people with all the lockdowns that were everywhere in the world have then turned into buying things online and have noticed, ooh, this is really a comfortable way of buying. Like a lot of grocery shopping has moved into online shopping, which was not big in Europe at all. Like it was big already in the US. The US is often faster with these sort of things. Europe is a bit more like conservative. We are slower. We are people that pay in cash. We don't like to pay in card. And this has now changed a lot through COVID, that we are now open to buy all sorts of things online. As to the year before, people were more hesitant to buy like everyday products. Sometimes like cleaning supplies, you wouldn't be buying that online, but nowadays, this year, this has changed. No. So a massive increase in new Prime members, massive increase in new customers. And actually the increase has gotten so big that Amazon had to shut down the FBA for a few times, like for a few months, for many categories. They were like, we cannot follow the demand of our customers. We need to only focus on a certain categories. And if you're selling that, you're allowed to use FBA. If you don't, I'm sorry, you can't. And that was for a few months in April, May, where the demand was so big that Amazon wasn't able to cope. They had to, I think they hired 100,000, 200,000 people just to be able to cope with the whole, like the demand of this year. No one was prepared for such a big growth. No.
Yeah. And what about Q4? Because, of course, in the US, we see Amazon preparing a lot, and they're hiring more people, and they're getting all of their processes in place because they're expecting a huge surge in demand during Q4. So what sort of preparation are you seeing Amazon doing there in Europe for Q4?
Well, Q4 this year is very special because we have Prime Day in Q4 as well. Prime Day usually is around the summertime, July. That's when we have Prime Day in normal years. And Corona year, we have now also Prime Day in Q4. So we have Prime Day, we have Cyber Monday, we have Black Friday, and we have Christmas. So this Q4, I think it's going to be a record-breaking Q4. It's going to go through the roof. And there are a lot of preparations that Amazon is taking. So they're limiting new sellers really with new inventory. So there's like this 200 unit limitation for new products that have not yet been sold on Amazon, because Amazon wants to make sure that in their warehouse they have enough space for all of the ASINs and all of the products that have already have sales. So they know that it's going to be selling. They don't want to be wasting precious space, really. So that is something that they're taking. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting Q4 for sure. Like I'm already preparing with many of my clients for the Prime Day now, for the upcoming Cyber Monday, and they've been restocking a lot like crazy and getting ready for Q4. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about products. We briefly touched on types of products now, but we also know that Europe is very strict in terms of product compliance and certifications and labeling. So what advice do you have for somebody who wants to sell in Europe in terms of how should they manage product quality and compliance? I mean, especially if they're sourcing from, let's say, China or India, another marketplace. What are some best practices they need to follow?
Take some expert advice really here. I know, especially when you work with Asian manufacturers, there's this tendency of like, yeah, let's just do it anyway. Like it will be fine. It will be fine. No, it doesn't work like that in Germany, often, or in Europe. Germany being the strictest of all, especially if you're going through customs and you already screwed up the labeling. It is possible that they're just going to destroy your products. You're not going to let them into the country. They are going to say, no, this is not according to the rules. So there is already a big important step to have that right from the beginning, and to ensure to have that right get some compliance help. Like the government websites where you can get some information. There are service providers where you can have a lawyer double check if this is fine, or a agency that focuses on compliance to just check if you have everything done correctly, especially in like product categories that have higher compliance, like everything that has to do with children's toys, where there's like choking, where there's like topical products. You want to make sure that they are fine, that there's no liability for you. Everything that is digestible, you want to be cautious about. And even if you have, like, you're selling clothes, you want to make sure that you're labeling everything correctly to the standards of the country where you're selling. Yeah.
Right. So talking about clothes, I mean, is apparel a big category as well for e-commerce in Europe?
Yeah, Amazon is becoming one of the biggest places nowadays where people are buying clothes. Having said that, I don't think that selling clothes is the best way to get started on Amazon. Very high return rates. You need to have a lot of variations. You have a lot of buyers trying, testing. Yeah, you need a lot of inventory. You need to have a really good startup capital. And yes, you can still succeed doing that, but you need to be prepared for investing more than you expected. Right. It's very competitive. Yeah.
Definitely. So is Amazon the main marketplace in most European countries, or are there local marketplaces as well that people can sell on?
Yeah, there are local marketplaces in all the different countries too. So they're really big ones too. I mean, depending on what category you are in, if you like eco-friendly products, like we do have avocado, it's a marketplace that is specifically for products that are eco-friendly, for example. And then we do have other marketplaces that are a bit more similar to what Amazon is, where you can buy all sorts of household goods, toys, things like that, like Real. But still, Amazon is the biggest and it's the biggest growing one. And it's where you have all the fulfillment put in. Other marketplaces don't have the inbuilt fulfillment part, where you need to then fulfill yourself and take care of orders and the customer care and all that stuff. Right. And that could be tricky in different languages. Having Amazon FBA, they are going to take customer returns, customer questions, and things like that. So you might still get a few emails here and there, but most of your customer inquiries, Amazon to cover those for you. And that is really, really good, because as you're getting inquiries from Spain, from France, from Italy, from Netherlands, from Sweden at some point, who's going to be speaking all those languages? I don't know anyone. So it's good that Amazon takes care with their customer care teams that have local teams for all the countries, and they do that for you. So that's why
Amazon.
Amazon. It's easier. It's more effective. Biggest conversion rate. I mean, the whole system just works out really, really well, and it's just growing. Yeah.
Right.
If you're locally and you have your business locally, you're here, you could always go into other marketplaces too. But if you're selling from overseas, stick to Amazon. Because that you can do from anywhere, really. You can be in Singapore and be selling in Europe. Doesn't matter if you are on the other side of the world. You don't have limitations on that.
Exactly. So in terms of listings, for different marketplaces, how should people localize the listings, or does it not matter? I mean, I'm just thinking, let's say I have a listing on the UK marketplace. Can I just translate it literally and post it in, on the Germany marketplace, or do I need to be aware of, maybe some cultural differences or some, linguistic nuances that are maybe prevalent in Germany, but not in German language and not in English? you know, so does that really matter, or is it okay if I just translate it and, you know, post a listing on the other marketplace?
That's a very good question. It does matter to the point of optimization and ranking oftentimes, because we cannot often just literally translate a search term that someone might be using in the UK. In Germany, they might not just use the literal translation, they might be searching in a different way. So here, I'd recommend going with Helium 10 because they do have all these different countries that they can work with and help you with the keyword selection. Now, we do get the keywords now in a different language. That's then a concern for most sellers. Okay, now I have the keywords, but I don't recognize what it means. A trick here, and many consultants use that do consultations in different marketplaces and don't know the language, is using simple Google Translate just to see if that search term does match the product. It's not a random other, it doesn't, sometimes you will get some random words in there that you don't want to be having in your listing. You can do that, or you can hire someone who does just your keyword research. So yeah, from that perspective. And then of course, for some products, you can just keep the copy similar because the product benefits are still the same. But yeah, sometimes you want to be looking into do people use it for different occasions? Is there a different way that I can add an emotional appeal to it? Because we also sell with emotions, and the way that we can sell with emotions is using nice imagery in the A+ content, for example, or having our bullet points point out a certain benefit that might appeal more into one country than in the other country. So you might wonder, how do you find that out? I would look into competitors, analyze their reviews. You get a lot of information about how your customers think from there. And other than that, what is another good way to find that out? Usually when you have a service provider that does your listing in Germany, for example, they can point those things out to you as well, if something would maybe seem off in German culture. But European culture is still so similar that it often fits. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, Laura, this has been great. You've given so much information for people to, you know, at least get started. So do you also want to talk about your consultancy? And then you've also got this 3-month course that you've recently launched where you actually walk people through the entire process of finding and launching products. So tell us about your services.
Yeah. Well, during the COVID time, I've always been a consultant in the last few years, but now during the COVID time, I have added a passion component of mine. Because in the past few years, when I've worked with so many sellers, like hundreds and hundreds of different sellers, I found a trend that most sellers were male and most businesses were male owned. And while I love working with men, there's nothing wrong. I felt like, hey, I would love to support women into getting started with their business in creating an Amazon and an e-commerce business. And I created a group on Facebook. It just started very simply. It's called Ecommerce and FBA Boss Babes. And we have grown a lot. We're like at 7,400 now. There's apparently a big interest in creating an own business. And yeah, out of that, I have created a course where I go through going from zero to launching. That's how I call it, zero to launch. And getting my ladies that have joined the course from product selection to sourcing to then ranking them on Amazon and having their first product up on the Amazon platform. Yeah, that's been really exciting. So I've gone with a beta group and we are just launching all now. And I do launch with them too. So I like to walk my talk and launching, like showing them my behind the scenes and just going the whole process with them and launching my own products.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. And I think a lot of people, just do courses, but they're just videos and you got to just, take in all the information. But I think with a format like this, where it's interactive, engaging, you can, ask questions along the way. I think yeah, that's very interesting and will help a lot of people for sure. So we'll post the link to the Facebook group in the show notes in case anyone's interested. And are men welcome to join the group as well in the course, or is this only for women?
This group is really just for women, but men are very welcome to contact me as well. And I have male-owned businesses still. This is my main business, to help startups and people wanting to sell on Amazon. So yeah, they can contact me for sure. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We'll put all the contact details in the show notes on the website, theasianseller.com. So guys, check it out there later. Well, Laura, thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful chatting with you, and let's stay in touch. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.